A few years ago, I got genuinely curious about a strange question. If you stripped away every modern supplement, every pharmacy aisle, and every sports drink with a neon label, what would people actually reach for when they got sick? Not in theory, in real, recorded history. So I started reading scripture a little differently, less like a purely spiritual text and more like an old family recipe box. What I found surprised me. The Bible doesn't just mention drinks in passing. It describes in specific detail what people mixed, brewed, steeped, and pressed when they were exhausted, wounded, feverish, or grieving. And an unsettling number of these old recipes line up almost exactly with what modern lab research is now confirming. This isn't a devotional. It's closer to a very old medicine cabinet, and I want to open it with you. 10 drinks at a time. Here are 10 of these drinks, pulled from across scripture, each one paired with the science that's finally catching up to it. Stick around, because 2 on this list was one of the actual gifts carried to a newborn baby in Bethlehem, and what's inside it is now being studied as one of the strongest natural anti-inflammatories ever found in a plant. And don't miss 7, the same bitter drink offered to a dying man on a cross, which Egyptian physicians were already using 3,000 years earlier to fight infection. Let's start. Number 1. Fig infusion. Let them take a lump of figs and apply it to the boil. That's Isaiah 38:21. And it describes one of the more startling medical scenes in the Old Testament. King Hezekiah is dying from a severe infected boil, and the prophet doesn't just pray over him. Isaiah gives him what amounts to a direct clinical instruction: press figs onto the wound. The king recovers. I'll admit, the first time I read that verse next to a modern biochemistry paper, I had to sit back for a second. Figs contain an enzyme called phycin that actually breaks down dead tissue and encourages healing, along with compounds that fight bacteria. Isaiah's prescription wasn't poetic license. It was functional medicine, 3,000 years before the word existed. But figs aren't only for wounds. As a drink, a simple fig infusion made from figs, steeped in hot water, delivers soluble fiber, especially pectin, that feeds your gut bacteria, calms intestinal inflammation, and keeps digestion moving. Figs are also unusually dense in magnesium, potassium, calcium, and B vitamins. So in a world with no multivitamin aisle, this fruit basically was the multivitamin. It's also one of the 7 species named in Deuteronomy 8 as a defining blessing of the Promised Land, alongside wheat, barley, grapes, olives, pomegranates, and date honey. Here's how it was traditionally made. Steep 4 to 6 dried figs in 2 cups of hot water for 20 to 30 minutes. Then press the fruit to release its natural sugars and fiber. Drink it strained, or with the softened figs still in the cup. A pinch of cinnamon helps keep blood sugar steady alongside it. Have you ever wondered why older generations seem to trust fruit and fiber over pills for keeping things regular? This is probably where that instinct came from in the first place. Next on this list is a drink that showed up in the hands of the wise men themselves, and it might be the most unexpected medicine on the entire list. Number 2. Frankincense-infused water. They presented him gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Most of us grew up hearing that line every December without ever asking why frankincense, specifically, was considered a gift worthy of a newborn king. For most of Christian history, the answer was purely symbolic, a nod to divine status. Then researchers actually studied what's inside frankincense resin, and the symbolism started looking a lot more literal. Frankincense comes from the sap of the boswellia tree, and it contains a group of compounds called boswellic acids. One of them, AKBA, has been shown in clinical research to block a specific inflammatory enzyme, the same pathway that many modern anti-inflammatory medications target. Trials on boswellic acids have found real reductions in inflammation connected to joint pain, asthma, and inflammatory bowel conditions. In some cases, performing about as well as pharmaceutical options without the same side effect profile. As a drink, frankincense water is made by steeping a small piece of food-grade boswellia resin, about the size of a pea, in a cup of water overnight. The resin slowly releases its water-soluble compounds. In the morning, you drink it on an empty stomach. The taste is mild, slightly piney, and resinous, honestly closer to a fine tea than a piece of tree sap. I remember being genuinely skeptical the first time this one was described to me. Drinking tree resin sounded more like a dare than a health routine. But traditional Middle Eastern and Ayurvedic medicine has used it for centuries precisely for its calming, anti-inflammatory effects. And modern research keeps circling back to confirm why. So next time you see a nativity scene with 3 men kneeling beside a manger, remember, at least one of them wasn't just bringing a symbol, he was bringing medicine. Speaking of gifts with hidden depth, the next drink on this list wasn't a gift at all. It was a direct medical order, written in a letter, from one of the New Testament's most practical writers. Number 3. Warm spiced wine. Use a little wine for your stomach's sake. 1 Timothy 5:23 might be the most direct medical prescription in the entire New Testament. Paul isn't being poetic here. He's writing to a sick friend and telling him plainly to drink wine for his health. To understand why, you have to let go of what wine means today. The wine of the ancient Mediterranean was lower in alcohol, almost always cut with water, and very often warmed with spices like cinnamon, cloves, black pepper, and ginger. It had far more in common with a medicinal tonic than anything poured at a modern dinner party. Something similar survives today in the Jewish Passover tradition of the 4 cups. Wine consumed deliberately, in stages, alongside food and ritual, rather than casually. There's real science behind nearly every ingredient in that cup. The polyphenols in red wine, resveratrol and proanthocyanidins pulled from grape skins, have been studied for decades for their effect on heart health, and moderate consumption has been linked to better HDL cholesterol and reduced blood clotting risk. The added spices weren't just flavor, either. Cinnamon helps regulate blood sugar. Cloves rank among the highest antioxidant foods ever measured. Ginger is a well-documented anti-inflammatory. Warming the wine actually helps release these compounds, making them easier for the body to absorb. Researchers studying the so-called French paradox, why a population eating a rich traditional diet still had comparatively low rates of heart disease, kept landing on this exact pattern: wine consumed in moderation, with food, as part of a whole diet. That word, moderation, is doing a lot of work in Paul's sentence, and it's worth sitting with. 1 small diluted spiced cup alongside a meal is a completely different thing from how wine is often consumed today. Here's a question worth asking yourself. How many of our modern health rules are really just rediscoveries of things people already knew, just phrased with less nuance the second time around? From a stomach remedy, let's move to a drink tied to a tree so alert it blooms, before winter has even finished leaving. Number 4. Almond and herbal milk elixir. God shows the prophet Jeremiah a vision and asks him what he sees. "I see a branch of an almond tree," Jeremiah answers. That might sound like an odd detail for God to highlight until you know the Hebrew wordplay behind it. The word for almond, shakt, shares its root with the word for watching or staying alert. The almond tree earns that name because it's the first tree to blossom every spring, flowering while everything else is still dormant. What's almost poetic is that the nutrition inside an almond lines up with that symbolism. Almonds are watchful at a cellular level too. 1 ounce provides well over a third of your daily vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects cell membranes from the kind of oxidative stress linked to aging and cognitive decline. Almonds are also rich in magnesium, a mineral involved in over 300 processes in the body, and one that a large share of modern adults are quietly low on. Almond milk, made from soaked, blended raw almonds, delivers all of this in a form the body absorbs easily. Steep it with chamomile, lavender, or a bit of dried tulsi, and it becomes a calming evening drink meant to support sleep and a tired nervous system. Here's how it's traditionally prepared. Soak a cup of raw almonds overnight. Blend with 3 cups of water until smooth. Then strain through a cloth. Warm it gently. Steep a chamomile tea bag or a pinch of lavender in it for about 5 minutes. Then finish with cinnamon and a spoon of raw honey. Drink it about an hour before bed. I've made a version of this on genuinely rough nights, and there's something almost meditative about the ritual itself, not just the ingredients, that seems to help. The tree that watches first also, it turns out, watches over the body that drinks from it. From one prophetic vision involving a tree, let's move to another. This one describing an entire forest of healing. Number 5. Olive leaf tea. Ezekiel describes a vision of a healing tree in almost clinical detail. Its leaf will not wither. Its leaf for healing. That single line has quietly become one of the more prophetic-sounding verses in the Old Testament, because modern researchers studying olive leaves have found something remarkable hiding inside them. The olive tree appears more than 500 times across Scripture, but almost always in reference to its oil or its branches. The leaves were largely forgotten by the modern world, right up until scientists isolated a compound called oleuropein. In study after study, oleuropein has shown direct antiviral activity against a surprisingly broad list of pathogens, including strains of influenza and herpes viruses. It's also strongly antibacterial and antifungal, and its antioxidant strength has been compared to vitamin E. In some research, traditional healers across Greece, Italy, North Africa, and the wider Middle East didn't reach for olive oil when illness struck. They reached for the leaves. The oil was food. The leaves were the medicine cabinet, exactly the way Ezekiel described it. To make it, steep a tablespoon of dried olive leaves in boiling water for about 15 minutes, then strain. 2 to 3 cups a day at the first sign of illness, or 1 cup daily as general immune support. Fair warning. It's bitter and a little earthy. But there's an old rule of thumb worth remembering here. If a plant tastes like medicine, it usually is one. Quick question for you. When's the last time you looked at a plant in your own backyard and wondered what it might actually be good for? Half the answers on this list came from someone, centuries ago, asking exactly that. From leaves that heal, let's move to a fruit so significant it was literally carved into the pillars of Solomon's temple. Number 6. Pomegranate juice. Your temples are like a half of a pomegranate, reads Song of Solomon 6:7. And if that image feels oddly specific, It's because pomegranates were everywhere in the architecture and imagery of ancient Israel. Solomon's temple had 200 carved pomegranates decorating its pillars. That's not a decorative accident. That's a culture telling you, in the clearest way it knew how, that this fruit mattered. It's also, like the fig, one of the 7 species listed in Deuteronomy 8 as a hallmark of the Promised Land's abundance. Modern antioxidant research agrees completely. Pomegranates contain a compound called punicalagin, found almost nowhere else in nature, which the gut converts into compounds called urolithins. Research into urolithins has turned up striking anti-inflammatory effects, and some early studies are exploring their potential role against certain cancers. Clinical trials on pomegranate juice specifically have shown reductions in blood pressure, lower LDL oxidation, better arterial function, and reduced inflammation markers like CRP. Gram for gram, fresh pomegranate juice actually beats red wine, green tea, and blueberry juice in antioxidant concentration. Traditional Middle Eastern healers used every part of this fruit. Juice for the heart and blood vessels, seeds eaten whole for fiber and minerals, and even the dried rind, which most people today throw straight in the trash, steeped into a tea for gut infections, intestinal parasites, and inflammatory digestive conditions. The traditional method is refreshingly simple. Press the seeds fresh and drink the juice right away. If you're buying it, look for varieties with no added sugar and no concentrate, since that's where most of the benefit quietly disappears. I'll be honest, digging those ruby seeds out of a pomegranate is a genuine chore, but maybe that's part of the point. The most valuable things in the ancient world were rarely the convenient ones. Now let's talk about a drink that's inconvenient in a completely different way, because it comes wrapped in one of the most misunderstood moments in the entire gospel story. Number 7. Myrrh Bitter Tonic. Myrrh shows up at both ends of Jesus' life. It's brought as a gift at his birth and at his crucifixion. Mark 15:23 records that they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, which he didn't take. In both moments, myrrh isn't symbolic decoration. It's functioning exactly the way it had functioned across Egypt and the wider ancient world for thousands of years already. As medicine. Myrrh comes from the resin of the commiphora tree, and it contains compounds called sesquiterpenes with documented antiseptic, antimicrobial, and anti-inflammatory properties. Egyptian medical papyri, more than 3,000 years old, list myrrh in treatments for wounds, oral infections, and digestive complaints. Modern lab studies back this up, showing broad antibacterial and antifungal activity, along with effectiveness against certain intestinal parasites. As a tonic, a small amount of myrrh, steeped or tinctured in warm water, supports oral health by reducing harmful bacteria in the mouth, calms the gut by working against pathogenic organisms, and reduces inflammation more broadly through the body. The bitterness isn't a flaw to work around either. Bitter compounds actually trigger the body to produce more digestive enzymes and bile, which is exactly what you want before eating. To make it, use a small amount of food-grade myrrh tincture stirred into warm water with a little honey to soften the bitterness, or steep a very small piece of the resin in hot water for about 20 minutes. This is a genuinely potent plant compound, not a casual drink. So start small. There's something almost unbearably poignant about that detail at the cross. Even in his final hours, what was offered to Jesus was, biologically speaking, medicine. Whether or not he accepted it, the gesture itself tells you exactly what people reached for when someone was suffering. From bitterness with a purpose, let's move to a much sweeter combination, one that ancient travelers depended on to survive brutal, multi-day journeys across the desert. Number 8. Date and almond milk. When David's exhausted soldiers needed reviving after days without food, 1 Samuel 30:12 describes giving a man a piece of a cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins, and after eating, his spirit came again. Dates and almonds occupy that exact same role throughout Scripture, the food and the drink that kept people alive on the road. The date palm is mentioned more than almost any other fruit tree across both the Bible and the Quran, not for its beauty, but for its sheer reliability in the harshest conditions imaginable. Blended with almond milk, dates create a drink that pairs fast-digesting natural sugars with the slow-burning fats, vitamin E, and magnesium found in almonds. The dates deliver quick glucose and fructose for immediate energy. The almonds slow that response down, turning a sugar spike into sustained fuel instead. Research on dates specifically has shown improvements in iron levels and bone density, along with polyphenols that reduce inflammation. One line of clinical research even found that women who ate dates in the final weeks of pregnancy had noticeably shorter, easier labors. Almonds, meanwhile, have their own separate research trail showing they lower LDL cholesterol, blunt post-meal blood sugar spikes, and improve the diversity of bacteria in the gut. To make it, soak 6 to 8 medjool dates overnight, then blend them with 2 cups of almond milk, ideally homemade, and a pinch of cinnamon. You won't need any added sugar. The dates handle that completely on their own. I like to think of this one as the ancient equivalent of the energy bar or the pre-workout shake, except it was fueling entire caravans of traders and pilgrims across deserts with no gas stations and no convenience stores anywhere in sight. Speaking of drinks meant for daily life rather than emergencies, the next one might be the simplest recipe on this entire list, and possibly the oldest. Number 9. Honey water elixir. A land flowing with milk and honey. That phrase from Exodus 3:8 shows up more than 20 times across Scripture, and it's usually read as pure poetry, a symbol of abundance. But it was also a literal description of what people actually drank, because the simplest way to consume honey in the ancient world wasn't off a spoon. It was dissolved straight into water. Honey shows up elsewhere in surprising ways too, from Samson pulling honeycomb out of a lion's carcass in Judges 14, to John the Baptist surviving in the wilderness on locusts and wild honey. Modern research has confirmed something the ancient world clearly already sensed. Raw honey is one of the most effective natural antimicrobials ever studied. It contains hydrogen peroxide, a naturally low pH that's hostile to pathogens, and a protein called defensin, one that actively destroys bacteria, including antibiotic-resistant strains like MYRRH. Dissolved in water, honey becomes instantly bioavailable, soothing inflamed throat tissue, calming the gut lining, and supplying quick energy without the insulin spike you'd get from refined sugar. The word raw matters enormously here. Once honey is heated past around 40 degrees Celsius, its enzymes and antimicrobial compounds start to break down. The honey people drank in the biblical world, pulled straight from the hive, unfiltered and unheated, was a fundamentally different substance from the clear, shelf-stable syrup sitting in most grocery store aisles today. Traditional preparation is almost embarrassingly simple. Stir a tablespoon of raw honey into a cup of warm, never boiling, water. Add a squeeze of lemon if you have one. Drink it first thing in the morning, at the first hint of getting sick, or before bed as something calming. I keep a jar of raw, local honey on my counter for exactly this reason, and it's become such a routine that I barely think of it as a health habit anymore. It's just what I drink when something feels off. Archaeologists have pulled 3,000-year-old honey out of Egyptian tombs that was still perfectly edible. This drink genuinely does not expire, and neither, it turns out, does the science behind why it works. One more drink to go, and it happens to be the only spice on this entire list that Jesus personally named. Number 10. Cumin and warm water. You tithe mint and dill and cumin, Jesus says in Matthew 23, calling out religious leaders for obsessing over small details while missing bigger ones. But notice what's actually being described. Cumin was valuable enough that people were giving away a portion of it as an offering. You don't tithe things that don't matter. Cumin has been used medicinally for roughly 4,000 years across the Middle East, India, and North Africa, specifically for digestion, blood sugar, and infection, and modern research keeps validating essentially every traditional use. Cumin contains a compound called cuminaldehyde with demonstrated antimicrobial effects against a wide range of bacteria and fungi. Clinical studies have found it can lower fasting blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity in people with type 2 diabetes. It also stimulates bile production and digestive enzymes, which is the biological reason it cuts down on bloating and indigestion. As a bonus, 3 grams of cumin provides roughly a fifth of the daily recommended iron intake. As a drink, cumin seeds steeped or gently simmered in warm water. Get these compounds into the system quickly and directly. To make it, lightly toast a teaspoon of whole cumin seeds in a dry pan until fragrant. Then add them to 2 cups of boiling water and steep for 10 minutes. Strain and drink warm, especially after a heavy meal or when the stomach feels unsettled. A pinch of salt and a little lemon brighten it up considerably. Here's a small, honest confession. I avoided this one for years because cumin, to me, meant chili and tacos, not tea. Turns out I was just underestimating a spice that ancient civilizations trusted enough to hand over to their temple as tribute. 10 drinks. One very old idea running underneath every single one of them. Long before pharmacies existed, people were paying extremely close attention to what made them feel better and writing it down. What strikes me most, looking back over this list, isn't any single ingredient, it's how consistent the pattern is. Fig, frankincense, wine, almond, olive leaf, pomegranate, myrrh, date, honey, cumin. 10 completely different plants from 10 completely different corners of the ancient world, and every one of them holds up, at least in part, under a modern microscope. One thing worth being honest about: quality changes everything here. Raw honey in warm water and processed honey in hot water are not remotely the same drink, biologically speaking. The same goes for whole dried olive leaves versus an over-processed supplement, or genuine food-grade frankincense resin versus a synthetic fragrance version. If you're going to try any of these, the source matters as much as the recipe. And if you're pregnant, nursing, on medication, or managing a health condition, it's worth checking with a doctor before making the more concentrated ones, myrrh and frankincense especially, a regular habit. I'd genuinely love to know which one caught you off guard the most. For me, it was the fig, mostly because I'd read that verse in Isaiah a dozen times over the years and never once connected it to an actual wound treatment until I looked at the biochemistry sitting underneath it. There's something grounding about realizing that the wisdom carried in a clay cup generations ago wasn't guesswork. It was careful, repeated observation, passed down long enough to survive into a world with laboratories and clinical trials, finally able to explain it 10 drinks down. Somewhere out there, someone 3,000 years ago would be glad we're still paying attention. If this opened your eyes to what's sitting in your own pantry, tap like, tell me in the comments which one you're brewing first, and subscribe for more ancient wisdom the modern world forgot.